Welcome back to Twin Tarot. I'm Gary, and this is not David, and that's Little Lemonhead. And then there's not Gary in the background. Hey, how y'all doing? Um, all sorts of fun stuff going on with Trump and Iran, and I'm trying to avoid. I want to do a reading on how that negotiations are going, but probably going to wait till tomorrow or over the weekend to do that. Um, what I want to look at is um, Trump met with Mark Rutte to discuss, to vent his displeasure with NATO's support of uh, Operation Epstein Fury. Um, Trump has threatened to pull out of NATO. He says that all the time. Um, he's threatened to take Greenland again. He's unhappy with NATO's response and lack of willingness to, you know, join in a fight against a country that hadn't really done anything wrong. I think Trump doesn't quite understand that NATO is more of a defensive alliance. Now, if Iran had done to the United States what the United States had done to Iran, NATO would be all over there kicking ass and taking names. But that's not quite how it worked. You know, Trump went over there with Israel and just bombed the crap out of them and didn't actually bother to tell NATO ahead of time that this is what he was going to do. And then he's mad because NATO didn't spring right into action and join in. You know, there's a lot of logistics that occurs when you're getting ready for a war. you know, NATO, they're not naive. They can see the buildup, you know, sending carrier groups over there, and troops are starting to amass at bases, you know, in the Middle East. So they certainly knew that there was an escalation in process, but they were given no advance notice that, you know, Trump and Israel were going to go ahead and just bomb them. Trump doesn't quite get it, you know. He just figures, you know, if I jump this guy, all you guys are going to jump him too, and if we all jump him at the same time, then we will meet all of the American goals and objectives, which have still yet to be shared, a definitive list. So Rutte was talking to Trump, and I'm sure Trump was given the earful. But that's what I want to read on, is what was the energy of the meeting, and how did they each walk away from this? Entertainment purposes only. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm so tired of Trump. It is to the point where even the Republicans are now starting to talk 25th Amendment. You know, that can build a little bit of momentum. Because you need to have, if you're going to impeach him, you have to have a majority of the House, 2/3 of the Senate to convict. Simple majority of the House to impeach, 2/3 to convict. And then with the conviction, you know, it could include removal. 25th Amendment, I think you need 2/3 of the House and the Senate in order to do that. So that's quite a high bar. But let's see, what was the energy in the meeting? I probably don't need to throw tarot cards to tell you what the energy was like. But let's just see, for entertainment purposes only, what was the energy of the meeting like? How could you do that? And they were probably both feeling like this. You know, Trump's in a bad situation. He started this war on Iran. We're kind of in a tentative ceasefire, but he's got no good off-ramp. There's no off-ramp for him that makes him look good. And that's causing him all sorts of stress. If NATO simply would have joined in and beat up on Iran as well, I would look like a hero. But instead, it was just us and Israel, and NATO didn't, you know, join in the attack. And now I'm in a bad situation. Rutte is probably feeling the same thing, because he's got to sit there and listen to this moron threaten to leave NATO. And let's face it, NATO really benefits from having a normal United States as a member. but he's got to sit there and listen to this sunsetting moron yammer on and on and on about lack of support. There was only one adult in the room, right? Sundowning is, I'm sorry, not sunsetting, sundowning. The challenge of the meeting is the Page of Cups. Trump he's still crazy. He still thinks that, his MAGA ideas and his America First and his agenda is going to make sense. And Rutte's got to sit there and listen to this gibberish go on and on and on. Energy underneath it. Six of Pentacles. You could have just given me a little. I give all these resources and all these wonderful things the United States gives to NATO. Couldn't you give a little bit back? You guys wouldn't be anything without the United States. I'm sure there was a paraphrasing of that going on. In the past, you got the Hermit, Trump looking for NATO's support. Operation Epstein Fury did not go the way Trump wanted it to go, and he's looking to get out. He wants an off-ramp. Current situation is the Queen of Swords. Both sides sharing their truths. Trump's sharing his truth of not understanding how the NATO alliance works, and Rutte probably calmly telling him how the alliance is supposed to work. Trump saying how he wasn't supported, Rutte coming back saying, this is what we did to support you. I mean, as Rutte had said in an interview afterwards, NATO was a little slow on the support, but most of the nations gave the United States what they were asked to give. They're asked to provide. Others, short of putting boots on the ground or, missiles in the air and destroying more of Iran's infrastructure. Overarching energy is the Five of Pentacles. It's a situation where Trump is kind of on the outside. It's kind of both, right? Trump is currently on the outside with NATO. He keeps threatening him. He keeps threatening to put NATO out in the snow because I'm going to take my money and go home. But at the same time, Trump needs NATO. He needs their support because he's in a situation that he's not happy about, and he doesn't know how to bullshit his way out of it. Lesson to be learned, Ace of Pentacles. Maybe you could take a new approach, offer something different to NATO, or demand that NATO offer something more to Trump. In Trump's case, maybe offering to stop being such an asshole and bad-mouthing NATO and threatening to leave, maybe a peace offering, if you will. And for NATO, it's like, well, we can offer you more support, but if you are trash talking and bad-mouthing your neighbor for years and years and years, it's really kind of ballsy to go up to him afterwards when you're in trouble and say, hey, by the way, could you help me out? Even though for the last several years, I've trash talked you and called you useless and worthless and threatened to leave. Now when you need us, now you want to have us support you. Outcome Ace of Cups. I got two aces. So Ace of Cups is about emotions. It's a high charged, high energy situation. And Trump does, like I said, and I've said several times, he doesn't get what the alliance is about. He thinks it's kind of like the Three Musketeers, all for one and one for all, regardless of how you behave. And that's not how it works, guy. So what am I seeing here? Both sides were not happy. It was an uncomfortable meeting. They had to share their truths. Trump's realizing that he needs NATO's help and he needs to offer them something. And his emotions have gotten the better of him. He needs to try a different trick. I had just read an article where basically Trump is starting his his influence has faded because he hasn't learned, his typical tantrums and his typical ways of doing things aren't working anymore. They're not having the same effect that they did before. He's not the same guy. And people are starting to push back, starting to ignore, starting to, basically just, it's like a kid having a temper tantrum. It keeps going on and on and on. After a while, it's just like, okay, well, I'm really tired of hearing you scream and kick and pound the floor. I'm going to go over here. And, when you're done, come and say, come over and find me, and then maybe we can find a path forward. But you just go do your thing over there. And they're just ignoring him. And that's the one thing Trump cannot stand. He can't stand not being the center of attention. He cannot stand being ignored. His ego is too fragile and too big. Okay, so post-meeting, we'll do a little side-by-side. How was Trump feeling after the meeting? And how was Rutte feeling after the meeting? Yeah, they still need to work together, right? So what's the linking them together? There's actions that they both need to take. How is Trump feeling? Temperance. He needs he needs a drink. How's Trump feeling? This is about balance and detox. He needs an off-ramp is what he needs. He needs an off-ramp because the burden of this war is too big on him. And if he can get a successful off-ramp and then he can sell it to the American people and everyone will be happy with him. But it's going to need, he needs to take actions. So so I think what it is he needs an off-ramp because the burden's too much. He feels like he's given Rutte directions on how NATO and NATO, America, United States and NATO, spit that out, so easy for me to say, right? That the relationship between the United States and NATO can return to a happy one if NATO takes the actions he wants. How's Rutte feeling? Queen of Cups. He's got to tamp down his emotions. And he wants to hit Trump with a big stick. He knows he shared his truth with Trump. And then the Seven of Swords. See what he can get away with. Maybe there are things he's hoping to do that are more behind the scenes with the NATO allies to give the U.S. more support on this. Or it could be watching how Iran has really neutered Trump and Israel. So that's how they left the meeting. That was actually not a bad set of cards there. I don't know if my interpretation's good, but I feel like it was all right. All right. Let's just take a quick peek at what is the relationship between the United States and NATO going to look like after all of this nonsense is behind us. Have we damaged it, or are we going to be okay? Relationship between the United States and NATO. Queen of Swords. You're going to have to face the truth of your actions that were taken by Trump because he's confused and he doesn't understand how things work. In the past, he's threatened to leave or send, have the U.S. exit NATO or kick NATO, take away the support and send them off. This has caused there's a lot of emotions that are as a result of that. Matter of fact, that was the outcome of Trump's meeting. So the current energy is that energy that Rutte and NATO are feeling after this meeting is done. We've told them the crazy man his truth. So it's what are their emotions when when this is all said and done? How are they feeling? Overarching energy is justice. That what we did was right. That you could have all the tantrums you want. We did the right thing here. NATO is on the right side of history. They're the ones that can go to bed at night with their heads held high, or look in the mirror with their heads held high. Right? It's hard to go to bed with your head held high. You wouldn't need a pillow, right? Lesson to be learned is the Nine of Wands. They're just tired of all the fighting and all the actions that are happening around the world and being attacked by one of your own allies. But the outcome is the sun. So Trump, he doesn't get it, but at the end of this, either Trump gets it or everything is going to be okay. That there's going to be a new understanding of how we engage, how the actions that we engage, because this is a defensive. It would have been better if it was a Seven of Wands, but yeah, I think everything's going to be fine. This is yet another one of those things where Trump is destroying the institutions, and the institution will survive and it'll come back better and stronger. And that is what I got for you. Thank you so much for sticking in there with me. Hopefully I've got this one right. Entertainment purposes only, right? I want to give a very special shout out to Ann Lasher. I think first time commenter. Hi, Ann. Ann made an absolutely amazing contribution to the channel. And Dave and I truly appreciate that. That was so kind of you. You probably tripled the amount of money we made on the video. That was on the Pam Bondi being held in contempt of Congress. It was not the most popular video I've ever put out. I have put out less popular ones, but man, that one just fell right on its face. So thank you so much, Ann. Truly appreciate that. And temperance, yes. It's all about balance and detoxing and finding that middle ground, that common ground. So thank you so much for your support. And then for the rest of us, Nine of Wands, isn't that the perfect card? How many of you, raise your hand, how many of you out there are tired of this crap? Tired of all the Trumpian and MAGA actions that we have to endure every day? And my God, we're only just over a year into this. You know, my mom made the comment to me the other day, you know, it was after the No Kings protest. And she looked at me and goes, you know, you still have another 3 years of this. I said, well, I don't know if that's true because I don't know if Trump can make all 3 years. You don't think he'll make it? No, I don't think he's going to make it. Well, you have 3 more years of this. It's like, well, then I guess I'm going to be out there protesting and carrying on and making my voice heard for the next 3 years until we can fix this mess. And it might not be 3 years because if the Democrats really do pull off a blue wave and can take over at least the House or the House and Senate, then we can we can basically derail all of Trump's evil agenda. And guaranteed he's going to get impeached. There's absolutely no question. It's just, can you actually convict and remove him from office? And this war with Iran, and as we get more of the Epstein files coming out, we could get there. Even before cholesterol does its job. So fingers crossed. Hope you're all having a great day. Catch you soon. Bye.